Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic Record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Join me every week. I release new episodes every Tuesday. Hello, Middlers. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle, and this is episode 120. So in this week's episode, we're going to be expanding on a question that was asked in last week's episode 119. If you haven't already listened to that Q&A, go and listen to it. I really enjoyed the questions that you submitted to be answered. Akashic Records, mediumship, Reiki. It was really interesting. But one question in particular in regards to karma and contracts kind of spiked my interest, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. So that's what we're going to be doing in this week's episode. But before we jump into that, I'm going to do the card pull for this week. 2 cards, and since it's at episode 120, I felt I should go back to my original card deck, the OG Colette Baron-Reid Enchanted Map deck. We're going to do 1 card from there and 1 card from the Mediumship Development deck. So as a reminder, when I'm shuffling for the cards, I always ask, what do the audience need to know? What's a little piece of advice that can help the listeners right now? So whenever you listen to this episode, whether it's right when it's released, it is March 2022, or if it's in a year from now, or whenever you hear this, it is usually right when you need to. So I love when I get DMs being like, I'm listening to episode 67, and the card that you pulled was just what I needed to hear. I was like, perfect. That's just when you needed to listen to that episode. The first card today is card number 5, Goblins. Ooh. Fear is an illusion. Choose love today. Forgive yourself and others. Goblins are born when you're wounded and something essential is lost in that experience. From that point on, as you forget your wholeness, they remain with you in the shadows. There, they remind you of what brought them into being. By mimicking your own voice, tricking you into believing that you're unworthy, victimized, or unlovable. They hold you hostage through low self-worth, self-sabotage, and the feeling that you're lacking what you need. If goblins pays you a visit, know that they represent the shadow of your own self or someone else's, and they're leading you into a potentially reactive situation. A goblin's card appearance is an opportunity for growth and a signal that you must love yourself. No human is without flaws. The goblin's message is that you must release resentment and negative self-talk. Within you is the spark of the divine. Ask Spirit to help you. Miracles can and do happen. Let go of the negativity. Ooh, this is interesting. Goblins. Okay, and the second card pull is from the Mediumship Training deck by John Holland and Lauren Rainbow. This card is Impressions versus Expression. There are multiple ways that we receive information from Spirit. It could be in words, images, or feelings, but how we relay or express the information back to the recipient must be carried out with due consideration and utmost care and sensitivity. Many mediums are taught that you should always give what you get when delivering a message. In a sense, that's true, but as mediums, we must honor that many people look at us to assist them with their grief and are often still distraught, no matter how much time has passed since their loss. Always remember that while we must be open to any spiritual impression, we are responsible for conveying a sensitive expression. Ooh, I really like that. People pass over to the spirit world in a variety of ways, from natural causes, unexpected illnesses, or other circumstances. When you give off information, it is a delicate process. For example, if you're impressed with the scene of someone passing, then you must be sensitive and discerning when you express the information to the sitter. It's possible they could be very emotional as they're still going through the bereavement process. They don't need to relive every detail of the experience again. Communicating that you're aware of the type of passing and, if possible, which area of their body was affected as well as their relationship to the sitter is often enough evidence for the recipient. Be kind and compassionate, as having an inherent sensitive nature is always a great asset for any medium to possess. Ooh, I really like this one. And I think I've pulled this card before actually on the podcast, impression versus expression. But I like that it's coming up because in my mentorship, I actually am doing a lot of mediumship development. And it's really interesting to see everyone kind of going through the stages of development. And this is an important conversation to have of discernment and saying things, and when is something a sign or when does it need to be delivered just as is. So very, very interesting. I hope that was maybe helpful for you if you are a developing medium. But on that note, mentees in the middle, the third round is full. So that sold out very quickly, mostly to the wait list. I think I will be running this again in June. I don't know what the future holds. I know it's summertime, so we will see. But you can join the waitlist on my website, and the next time I run this program, you will be the first in the know. That also brings me to Reiki, which is currently sold out. There will be more Reiki trainings coming. There is a Reiki level 2 in April that is available, but the next Reiki level 1 will probably be in May, so dates to come on that. And my only other announcement this week is Mediums in the Mountains. A medium named Bree is coming all the way from Ontario to Banff, and we are doing a live group mediumship reading, the two of us and a group of you. So I'm really excited. It's being held here in Banff, and tickets are on sale now. We just held a giveaway. It was so fun. Thank you to everyone who entered. So I know those tickets are going to sell quickly. So if you want yours, go grab them. I will leave all the links down below in the show notes for you. Okay, let's jump right into today because I have an interesting story which I think will help the conversation that was kind of started last week. So the question was around if the Akashic Records can help clear your karmic contracts. And I discussed how our contracts, or what we choose to learn in this life, are presented in a very, I want to say, negative light. It makes them feel very heavy. It makes them feel very hard. It makes them feel very, like just yucky. And I don't like that. So I really want to change the conversation around this because these things are not meant to be doom and gloom, a weight on our foot, dragging us behind. What are these contracts that I can't see that I wanted to learn in this lifetime? What are they so I can just get rid of them? And if only it was that simple. So I had an experience this past week that kind of opened my eyes to perhaps one of my contracts. So I wanted to share a real life example with you because I think it might be helpful for you to then apply this to your world in order to see where are your loops, where are your patterns. So I'm going to start off the story from when I moved into my new place. So I live in a condo building, but you walk right outside. So each house walks directly outside. You don't have like one of those hallways. And when I was moving, I met my downstairs neighbor, and he was very friendly. He was a super nice guy. And he was like, hey, like I do party a lot. Like if I'm ever loud, just let me know. And I was like, oh, okay, totally, no problem. And I never heard anything for the first few months. And he would check in every time I would see him. He would say, hey, am I being too loud? Like, do you hear me? And I was always like, no, I don't hear anything. And he was like, oh, okay, like just let me know if I'm ever loud. And I was like, okay. So flash forward to like Christmas and New Year's, some parties downstairs. And I was like, whatever, I'm an understanding person. It's fine if I get woken up once in a while. Then it became like once a week, and I was like, oh, like, okay. But recently it's been like 3 to 5 times a week. He will play his music loud, very late at night, till all hours of the morning. And I was getting really, really frustrated. So I was waking up, in the middle of the night, hearing this loud, like, music. And I will say, I have a 1-bedroom apartment, and because I work a lot from home, I turned the bedroom into my office. So my bed is actually in the living room, so kind of like a studio, but then I just have my office in the bedroom. So my bed is in where his living room would be. So in the actual bedroom, you can't hear the music, but when you're in the living room, you can. So again, I'm even like sitting here making excuses for this because this is one of my lessons to learn. So I would be woken up in the middle of the night and I'd be so upset, and I was like, what do I do? Like, if I want to try to stay half asleep, so I don't want to like get up and like stomp around. And also if I get up and stomp around, then my next door neighbor is going to hear me. So then I'm going to be disturbing him. And I can't get up and like go downstairs to tell him to be quiet, because then I have to like put clothes on, put a jacket on, put shoes on, leave my house, go outside, go downstairs. Like, that just seems like way too much effort. And then what else am I supposed to do? So for weeks, I was in this racket going back and forth, being like, landmark term, if anyone attended landmark. I was in this like victim mentality. Oh my gosh, the music comes on at so early in the morning. I'm not having a good sleep. I have to work tomorrow. I'm such a victim. The worst things are happening to me. And it took me weeks to realize that this was a lesson for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, why did I not see this loop over and over and over again? So for a while, I would just be like, I can sleep without it. Then it was like, I can sleep with earplugs in. Then it was like, I can turn my own music on, nice and calming music that will just, put it right beside my ear. Then it was just, okay, I'm going to get up and stomp my feet really loud until he shuts the music off, and I'm going to do it over there in the bedroom so I don't wake up my other neighbors. And then it was just literally all these steps until I was finally like, oh my gosh, Steph, you have to go tell him to be quiet. He told you when you moved in, he reminded you a bunch of times, and now you're being challenged to go use your throat chakra and say something. And of course, I didn't run into him. I haven't run into this guy for months. I see him every day for a first little while, but now I haven't seen him in months. So I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to say something. I'm going to be like, hey, remember you told me to tell you to be quiet? Long story short, I don't end up seeing him. And finally, after like the fourth time one week, I was like, I have to do something. I have to do something. This is a lesson. And I was like, I'm going to write a note. I'm going to write a note and leave it on his door and tell him to be quiet. And I was like, and I know this man, so he's going to come up and apologize, which is going to be awkward because then I can't say, oh no, it's okay, because it's not okay. And how often do we say, someone says sorry to us and our answer is, oh, it's okay, or oh, don't worry about it. And it's like, no, it's not okay. And yeah, I do want you to worry about it. So I don't know if it's because I'm psychic, intuitive, or just I knew he was going to come up and apologize in person. So I put the note on his door when I was taking Archie for a walk. And I ran downstairs and I put the note on his door. And of course, Archie's leash hit his door. So it sounded like someone knocked on the door. So then his dog barked. And I was like, no, the confrontation that I'm trying to avoid. So I ran. I put the note on the door and I ran. And I took Archie for a walk. And I was like, okay, I'm going to walk, for a good amount of time so that if he does go up, if he did hear the knock, I won't be there. So then I get home from my walk with Archie and I start cooking dinner and I'm on the phone with my grandma and I hear him stomping upstairs. And I was like, oh, he's coming up. He knocks on the door and I like open the door and he's like, Steph, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to. It's been bad, thanks for telling me. I'll be quiet. I'll turn the music down. He was going on. And I'm just standing there so awkwardly. Like, I had just hung up the phone with Taita, my grandma. I was like holding Archie because he was barking. And I was trying my very best not to say that's okay. And I was like, oh yeah, I just wanted to tell you because, it's been loud and it's been more than one time, He was apologizing profusely and I was just standing there trying not to say, it's okay, don't worry about it. And just trying to say, hey, you told me to let you know, I'm just letting you know. So I had the lesson. Now the music has started again. So he was good for a little while and it started again. So it's like, what is my lesson now? And this reminded me of that Akashic Records question because these are the loops. Now, when I think about my karmic contracts, am I thinking that my neighbor is going to play loud music at all hours of the night and I'm going to have to go and tell them to be quiet because I have lessons to learn about confrontation or using my throat chakra or standing up for myself or following through with what someone told me to do? Probably not. This probably isn't the situation that we thought of when we think of the lessons we need to learn and what we agreed to when we came down to our human bodies. But but this is the real everyday thing. This is the normal human experience. These are the confrontations we have to have. These are the conversations that are challenging for us. So for me, it's like I always thought I was totally fine confronting people. And now I'm being shown that clearly I'm not, especially when you're getting me half asleep in the middle of the night when I have to then go the next day and bring something up. And I'm trying to talk myself out that it's not that big of a deal and yada, yada, yada. But it was a good example of a loop. It was a good example of a lesson, and it was a good example of perhaps a karmic contract, perhaps something I'm meant to learn in this lifetime, but it's a lesson nonetheless. So I wanted to share this very human, normal experience to help kind of land that conversation question from last week, because while I do agree that we choose our lessons, we don't choose how they're delivered to us. So this is really how I have understood bad things happening in a way. So for example, you do not choose to get cancer. I don't believe that is true. I do believe that you're choosing all the lessons and learnings that come from the experience of you having cancer. You don't choose to get into a car accident that breaks your back, but you did choose to learn everything that comes with that experience. So in my time in the Akashic Records, that's kind of how they've explained it. It's like you're not choosing these bad things to happen for you, but you are choosing to learn what you learned from them. So these are the kind of things that you want to pay attention to. And it's not the doom and gloom. It's not that you're being cursed and you're being thrown lightning at. It's just we have things to learn here. And the quicker you learn your lesson, the easier it is for you to move through it and the easier it is for you to move on. And you're not going to sit in frustration. I could have sat in frustration for many more months every time that loud music comes on until I went down there and said something. Again, a very, very small example, but I just wanted to give something very realistic to kind of say how these lessons can come about. So I hope that example kind of helped you survey your own life and just scan through and be like, okay, where are these things happening to me? Where are the loops happening to me? Where are the same struggles happening to me? Where are the same annoyances happening to me? Again, I don't have to punish myself and make myself struggle because someone else is having a party. So be mindful of that in your life because I find that's very helpful. Another thing that I do often that I find very, very helpful is in difficult situations or any situation. I find I'm asking myself this a million times a day. I ask myself, what's the lesson here? What am I meant to be learning here? What's the lesson here? What's the universe showing me here? What's the lesson? What am I learning? What am I not seeing? Why is this happening? And not in a victim way of like, why is this happening to me? It's like, what am I meant to be learning? What is this bringing to light for me? So do that in your life, and I promise you, it will help you immensely and help you get things quicker and move through them quicker. So that is what I have for you this week. I hope you found that helpful. I hope you can use that in your own everyday lives to help make these lessons a little bit easier. So I am excited to say I'm taking my, I want to say, first vacation since I started my .com business. Being an entrepreneur is a lot of work. And I can maybe say I've taken one day off, but even when I've gone home to Ontario, I've been constantly working. So I am going to Mexico this week, and I'm not bringing my computer. Yep. So I'm bringing my iPad and my phone, but I find it very annoying to work on those type of things. Like I like to work on a computer. So I'm not bringing my computer so that I don't work and I try to relax. So I'm very excited to be there. I will be coming back all tanned and hopefully relaxed and refreshed. So next week there will be no episode and I will be back on the 29th with a new episode for you. So just know that I am laying on a beach with a drink in hand thinking of you. If you want to make an appointment with me, you can. Distance Reiki, Akashic Records, or in person. If you are in person in the area, I do still have appointments available before I move locations, which I'm very excited about for April. I am booking about a month in advance, so if you do need an appointment, just so you know to plan early. But I will leave all the links that you need down below in the show notes. If you are a listener and you have been, I would love and appreciate a rating and a review. It really, really helps me out in the podcast world, and it is a great way to show your appreciation for the podcast. So thank you so much to everyone who has left a review, a 5-star, and a quick sentence. I promise it won't take more than 15 seconds, but that is awesome. As always, if you want to stay connected with me, follow along on Instagram or Facebook at Medium in the Middle. All the links are down below in the show notes. But until 2 weeks from now, Middlers, I will see you in your ears on a Tuesday. Have a great week. Listen back to this when you feel like there's a loop in your life and you're not sure what it is. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.